and trust that tomorrow He's going to provide even more. He's going to provide what's needed tomorrow. You don't have to store up a little bit of God for tomorrow. You use up what He's given you today, and tomorrow He'll give you what you need for tomorrow. The church is dying of spiritual starvation today because we're trying to live on yesterday's money. We're spiritually starving because we're trying to eat yesterday's provision. We know what He gave yesterday, and out of fear of not getting any more, many have for today. When He gave it yesterday, we used yesterday. When God gave you a word of wisdom yesterday, it was for yesterday. Today is a new day. When He gave you the faith to make it through yesterday, you made it through. Now He'll give you something for today. Some are still trying to live on a meal that they received 20 years ago. You don't know how many times I have people tell me, yeah, I was filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke in tongues years ago, but I haven't done it since. But yeah, I'm filled with the Holy Spirit. No, you've been filled with the Holy Spirit, but you've been trying to live on that provision for all these years. Doesn't mean you're currently filled. And we wonder why we're starving, church. We wonder why many are starving and not seeing God move. We're still trying to feed them yesterday's leftovers. Think about it this way. Kids are getting out of school. How many of y'all are happy for that? Listen, I always loved it when my kids got out of school. You know why? Because that meant I didn't have to schedule no more either. Now he gets homeschooled. I don't have to schedule anything. But your kids are getting out of school for the summer. Listen, when I was a kid, you got out of school for the summer. You know what you drank a lot of? Kool-Aid. Drank a lot of Kool-Aid whenever I was a kid. Why? It was sweet, it was cheap, it was red. You could buy a bunch of Kool-Aid in different flavors, y'all. Some of y'all didn't even know you could have got different flavors. Your mom and daddy only bought you one flavor, huh? You've been stuck on lemonade all these years. You didn't know they had like strawberry, kiwi, and watermelon, and grape, and all that. Hey, they even got color changing flavors. But think about it, Kool-Aid. I want to equate how we treat the Holy Spirit with how we treat Kool-Aid. It wouldn't make much sense whenever you got out of school on that first day. If Mama would have come in there and said, all right, kids, I'm making you a picture of Kool-Aid today. Don't worry, y'all. I'm not going to say any carpet. Somebody just about flipped their lid. Hey, you don't say any carpet. It's just carpet, y'all. Promise. Anyway. It wouldn't make much sense for that first day of summer to get out of school and Mama said, hey, I made a picture of Kool-Aid, but you better make it last all summer. Y'all, we'd go through a picture of Kool-Aid a day or more. There was 5 kids around my house. And then we had 7 others that were white kids around our house. We all drank Kool-Aid. I'd come home, Mom, I'm thirsty. And so was Dave. And so was Nicholas. And everybody else said, we're all thirsty, Mom. And she'd go pour us all just like that. And as she poured it, that Kool-Aid would get in. And eventually, she had to make us another picture. We get a different color every time. I'm colorblind, but I knew it was different. She'd make us something different. Tomorrow, we'd have strawberry made. We have lemonade, I don't even know what color that is. That's like an orangey yellow. But we got blue raspberry tomorrow. And then the next day, you might get strawberry. And you might get watermelon the next day. But she had enough every day that you'd have some for every day. It wouldn't have made no sense to make one picture of Kool-Aid at the beginning of summer and say, okay, now you make this last all summer. But we treat God like when He gave the Holy Spirit, like He said, hey, here's your little bitty portion of the Holy Spirit. Now you make this last for the rest of your life. Listen, God's got plenty to pour out, church. Let me put this down before I knock it over. Don't try to drink it after service either. It's just food colored and water. Y'all can show up at Fiesta with my kid Smurf. But think about it. That's how we treat God with the Holy Spirit. It's like we got a little taste of the Holy Spirit. It's like, well, that may be all we ever get. We better make this. Like, no, He's got new provisions for you every single day. Stop trying to live off yesterday's. I mean, yesterday's was good, but it's snaky today. You don't need it today with the worms in it. Exodus 16, verse 31 through 32. Then Moses said, this is what the Lord has commanded. Fill an but an altar full of manna in it, and place it before the Lord, to be kept for generations to come. Now, he never told the generations to come to try to consume the manna that was put on it. He said, put it in the pot so they can remember what I did for you. That manna testimony of the Lord's provision to a generation past. It was a testimony as to what God had done in the past. It was meant to let the generations to come know that if he provided for the previous generation, then he'll surely do it for the generations to come. His provision of manna for the previous generation in the wilderness pointed ahead to his provision of milk and honey for the future generations in the promised land. So I'm here to tell you this morning, church, quit trying to eat manna when God's providing milk and honey. We're dying trying to live off of yesteryear's manna. It's great to hear of the outpouring of the Holy Spirit on the previous generations, but it was never meant to sustain this generation. I'm glad Grandma got filled with the Holy Spirit, but what about you? I'm glad Mama got filled with the Holy Spirit, but what about you? We want to talk about revivals past. We want to talk about what happened in the old children's church when it was church, or what happened in that old sanctuary that's out there. But let me ask you something. What's happened in here? I can tell you what hasn't happened. A hunger for God. You see what happened there and what happened there was bred out of a hunger for God, a hunger for his manna. And we come over here and we said, okay, they got it, we're good. We're going to live off of what they got. We need to quit looking for what they had and start reaching for what he has for us today, church. Reach for what God has in store for us today. What would you think if you, listen, another analogy for you, what would you think if you watched your neighbor? Now this neighbor, they never go to work. Never go to work. And you can tell like they're hungry. They're hungry. They need to eat. They look like they're starving to death. And you see them come out every morning. You watch from your window, y'all know what to do. Don't act like you don't watch your neighbors from your window. You got the vines trapped where they can't see you watching, but you're watching. We do that. We see people pull up at the church and not look at all the lights off where they don't see light shining up. One vine is cracked. Now we're even better than that. We just pull a phone for the camera. But you watch them every morning and they're out there and they're looking around. You see them scrounging through the bushes and there's dew all over the ground and they're searching everywhere. And you see them looking like they lost something. You tell them you need to go work and make some money. You're hungry. What are you doing out there? Most of those will look out there and say, what's this idiot doing today? So you go out one morning and you ask him, you say, hey, what are you doing? Every morning I see you out here. Your feet's getting wet from the dew. You look like you hadn't eaten in like a month. I can tell you're starving. Do you have a job? I mean, because I see you out here every day. And you're scrounging around on the ground like you're looking for something, but you never seem to find anything. What are you doing? What if their response was, I'm looking for manna? Initially, I always would think, man, they really have faith that the Lord's going to provide. But that response would actually beg for another question. Did the Lord tell you that he was going to provide you? Did he say he was going to provide you manna? Now, I mean manna, like real manna, not the figurative manna like those spiritual manna. I'm talking about real manna like flakes of bread on the ground. Like, did God tell you to come out every morning and search your yard for flakes of bread on your ground? Like literally? What if his response was, well, no. I mean, he didn't tell me that, but I knew he did it for the Israelites in the desert, so I just assumed that's what he did for everyone. The fact is, church, from heaven, since before the Israelites ever crossed the Jordan, it has not happened since. So it wouldn't make sense for us to not do whatever, but to go out every morning and search and do for bread on the ground. Trusting that God, believing that God's going to give something he never told us he was going to give. But he has told us that he poured out the Holy Spirit that we never searched for. to let them know that I'm going to pour out bread from heaven on the dew in the morning for them. He never promised to do that again, but he always promised to be there for his church. See, we've been spending our time searching for the provision of our grandparents, when the Lord has a special set of provisions set aside for us today. God has something in store for you this morning, church. The Bible tells us that His mercies are new, His compassions are new every morning. So guess what that means? I don't have to get up today and live off of what He gave my mama yesterday. He's got new compassion and new mercy for me today. Because I can promise you I'll pour out what He gave yesterday. Thank God for His mercy. Thank God for His grace and His compassion on us. We were never intended to eat our grandparents' or our parents' provisions. He's going to give us our very own provision, church. I believe that.